Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hola, friends. Hope you're doing great today. Thank you for tuning in to Tech It Out, episode 246. Hopefully the weather is warm and wonderful where you are today. Now that we're nearing the end of May, it's my birthday on the 27th, next Friday. So looking forward to celebrating with family and friends. Hey, we have a great Tech It Out show planned for you this hour. I'm going to just jump in and tell you who's on tap. Electricity costs in the home have never been this high. And so we're going to start with a talk about the Sense Home Energy Monitor. That's coming up in a minute from now. After that, the latest from a McAfee study that shows that kids are deleting their web browsing history so mom and dad can't see where they're going online. That and other facts that you should know about. Also, coming up later on in this show, what's new in big and beautiful TVs from LG. That's coming up later on Tech It Out. All of this and more on a brand new show powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick off this week's new Tech It Out with our first interview. As you likely know all too well, we're paying more for everything these days. I mean, groceries and gas because of inflation rates soaring beyond predictions. And you can also add electricity to that list as well, as you may be seeing on your home's monthly utility bill. Well, there is a smart and inexpensive solution from a company called Sense in the form of a small home energy monitor that could help you out. Joining us to chat all about it is Mike Phillips, CEO and co-founder at Sense. Pleasure to have you on the show, Mike. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Now, before we talk about Sense, the product, please talk to us about rising electricity costs. To what do you attribute this?
So look, there's both short-term effects due to the rising cost of natural gas, due to the war in Ukraine. But I also think there's just going to be a long-term pressure on rising energy costs due to what we're seeing with climate change.
All right, so there's a few reasons why we're seeing higher bills every month. And again, it couldn't come at a worse time with everything else going up as well. And there are issues like standby power, or we sometimes call it vampire power, that can also add up. Talk to us about what these are and what are some of the bigger culprits.
Yeah, the good news is there are ways that consumers can better manage the energy in their homes. It's hard, though, for consumers because they don't, just from your monthly electric bill, you don't get a lot of information that helps you know where power is being used.
Right.
But as you say, there's one example that's very clear is about a bit over 20% of all electricity going into homes is going to things that people think are off. So that we call this standby power or vampire power. Mm-hmm. It's things like your cable box just using power all the time while it's sitting there idle.
Yeah. And again, this is something that we just don't know about because we're not using it. And I've written about this quite a bit over the years. And I've also written about Sense quite a bit over the past, I'd say 7 years or so. Let's hear all about the company and your flagship product.
We started the company with this notion that we should be able to help people manage their homes better by giving them visibility and control over how power is used in their homes. So Sense is a little energy monitor. It's a little box goes inside your electrical panel that measures the power in a very detailed way. So there's a lot of energy monitors out there. Ours is rather special in that we measure power at really high rates. We actually measure your power at up to 1 million times a second, which I know sounds crazy, but we use that because it's really high resolution data. We can see to some degree the different devices in your home. So like the light bulb uses power a little bit differently than the microwave. And by measuring power in this crazy detailed way, we can tell that the microwave just turned on and is using this amount of power, or the light bulb turned on and is using this other amount of power. So that is forming a basis for a engaging consumer application where you can open this application anytime you want and see what's happening in your home right now.
All right, so this Sense Home Energy Monitor is installed into your electrical panel, and you would probably encourage a professional to handle that, right? And it's a one-time thing.
That's right.
Okay.
It's quite easy to install, but it has to be installed inside the electrical panel, so an electrician should do that work.
Okay, got it. And then it wirelessly communicates to an app that you may have on your phone or tablet in order for you to glean what's happening in real time.
That's exactly right.
Okay, it uses Wi-Fi?
Yep, uses Wi-Fi to connect up, and that's how you access it through your app running on your iPhone or your tablet or your Android phone. Also, there's a web-based interface.
Okay, and a website too. Okay, yeah, because sometimes people want to see this kind of information on a bigger display, like a PC or a Mac or something. That's pretty cool. So how does, and again, I don't want to get too technical here, how does the Sense monitor know what device is consuming power at that moment? I mean, you just sort of hinted at this, but how would it know that it's the dishwasher opposed to, say, a light bulb that was just turned on in a child's room?
Yeah, so that's where I was talking about. We measure power in this very detailed way, and making use of the fact that these different devices in your home use power slightly differently. And look, it's important to point out we can't do that perfectly because these things are all on at the same time, but a combination of that. But plus, we also support things like if you really want to know exactly what your TV is using, you can get a smart plug and hook your TV into that, and Sense can talk to the smart plug over Wi-Fi. And also that then lets you start to control things if you want to be able to turn the TV power off so it doesn't do that vampire power sucking, as we mentioned, when you're not using it. So
yeah, okay, thanks. I didn't know if you had to manually say, all right, almost like teaching the Sense app, like, all right, I just turned on the microwave, so that is what the microwave power is going to look like.
Yeah, so for many things in your home, we've seen enough of them that we know what a microwave looks like or a garage door opener looks like. Other things, if you have unusual things in your home or things we haven't seen enough of, we'll provide a more general, we found a device, we don't know what it is, help us figure it out.
Oh, neat. Okay, so it is a bit of both. All right.
I should mention, though, that this machine learning, as we talk about, that figures out the different devices, that takes a while. So when you first install the application, you just see a real-time power usage, which is useful in itself. You can run around the house and turn things on and off and see what they do. But then over time, it learns about the things. After a couple of days, it might find your refrigerator. Then a few days later, it might find your microwave and so on. So it's kind of a little bit of a journey for users, either kind of fun as finding stuff or annoying that it takes a while. So
yeah, I was just going to say it sounds kind of fun, but it could also tell you if you've left something like the fridge door open, right? Or if a child left their lights on after they left to go to school, it can notify you, right?
Yeah, so we have an ability to add various alerts in the application. So when people first get the application, they'll use it to get a kind of a general sense of how power is being used in their home. But then as it starts to find devices and you start to find things that you want to know about on an ongoing basis, you can set up alerts for, let me know if the oven's been on for more than 2 hours, or let me know if I hit a new peak of my power usage and things like that.
Because it uses Wi-Fi, would it work out of the home to know? Like, let's say you left for work. Could you be notified that you left the curling iron plugged in? That the old cliche, when you go on a trip, did I leave the straightening iron or curling iron on?
That's right. Any place you are, anytime you want, you can open up your app and see what's happening at home.
Awesome. We are chatting with Mike Phillips, CEO and co-founder at Sense, whose mission is, in part, to make it easier for people to better understand and manage energy usage at home and to actively participate in a cleaner future. Monitoring energy usage is one thing, but controlling it is another. Can you talk to us a bit more about the support for smart plugs? I think TP-Link is an example of ones that are supported, and how you can better control the electricity, not just see what you're consuming.
Yeah, so we're interfacing through software with a variety of smart devices in your home, like TP-Link plugs or Philips Hue light bulbs or a few other things. Mm-hmm. And look, this is becoming really important. Getting back to your point about saving money, it's starting to get, some utilities now have different pricing depending on the time of day and the demands on the energy grid. Yep. So then you really want to be able to start to automate things like, I want to plug in my car and have it charged by the morning. I don't really care when it gets charged. I'd like it to just be automatically figure out a good time to charge my car and save me money. So that's absolutely where we're heading with this, having this energy monitoring, but plus be able to control increasing number of devices in a home through software.
Is there a way to quantify how much you save, or at least see it on the app? Like, you've saved X dollars, that kind of thing. Is that doable?
Well, we have a lot of pricing information in the application. We don't have specifically about savings, but people that are going into savings and looking at their bill, we do have some functionality to show how you're tracking versus a month. I think this is a really important thing, that instead of waiting until the end of the month and seeing what you're going to have to pay, be able to see during the month what's going on, and that, hey, there's still time to correct it if something's gone wrong.
Yeah, you're right. It could be a bit tedious to have to type in what your electricity rates are, and it does fluctuate throughout the day. I can tell you where I live, Mike, we have on-peak, off-peak, and mid-peak pricing. And before we wrap up, Mike, I understand. So there's the regular Sense product, and we'll get to pricing in a moment, but there's also Sense Solar and Sense Flex.
Yeah, so it's the same core product, but with additional sensors. So these are the sensors are the little clamps that clamp around the wires. The normal product has two of them for the two voltages coming into your home. But then for Sense Solar or Sense Flex, there's an additional set of sensors to measure either solar production, or if you want really exact accounting for your air conditioner or your EV, you can use those same type of sensors on a single load in your home.
Oh, okay, cool. And I think it costs a little bit more. So with that in mind, let's talk pricing. How much does the core Sense product cost?
The core product is $299.
And then for Sense Solar and Sense Flex?
It's an additional $50 for those products.
Okay. And I applaud those who do have some solar power in their home to augment the electricity. So this can give you even deeper insights. All right. And that's sense.com. Is that right?
That's right. You can buy it directly from our website, or you can buy it on Amazon.
Amazon.com as well. Mike, it's been great chatting with you. Congrats on your work with Sense to date. I think the company started in 2013. So you're doing some great work. And thanks for carving out some time to chat. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Your kids don't want you to know where they're going on the internet, and other, maybe not too surprising, findings from McAfee. So stay with us. We'll get the skinny on that report when we return.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. This show is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, monitors, smartphones, smartwatches, tablets, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. We cover cybersecurity a lot on this program, and it's also the number one thing I'm asked about by listeners. And so McAfee, one of the leading cybersecurity companies on the planet, has recently published the findings of its inaugural report called the Global Connected Families Study, which we're going to hear about right now with Sachin Puri. He's Vice President of Marketing at McAfee. Hi, Sachin. Welcome to the show, and thank you for your time.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Sure, me too. I'm looking forward to our chat. Now, before we talk about your first ever Global Connected Families study, let's just take a step back and give us a bit about McAfee. I'm pretty certain that most of our listeners are not only familiar with your brand, but are a customer already.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, McAfee is a world leader in online protection. As the threats have evolved, is protecting people. So moving towards a more people-centric protection, online protection from device-only protection. And a lot of our innovations are focused towards driving that. Mostly our solutions focus towards what the customer needs are and then empower them so that they can confidently experience life online. And our approach has always been an integrated solution that is easy to use, ready to go for anyone, anywhere. A few data points just to highlight how we do this, and we feel pretty proud of being able to do that, is we have more than 100 million threat sensors. What that means is we are able to collect data just across the board through these threat sensors to develop innovative and intelligent solutions to keep the consumers protected online. Another data point just for you to know, and for the listeners, there are 784 new and unique threats that are discovered per minute. So it keeps us busy. We're excited, and we're looking forward to this conversation.
Did you say per minute?
Per minute, that's right.
Oh my goodness, scary stuff. So having a partner like McAfee that has your back, I think is incredibly important. With that in mind, McAfee just published its findings. Again, it's called the Global Connected Families Study. What did you set out to find with this?
Yes, this is our first ever Global Connected Family Study. We're very excited about this one because what this basically highlights is our further commitment to keeping families safe in a vast evolving connected world. And our understanding is it is to be driven by education and empowerment. So this study is a 10-country study where we spoke with parents and their children to understand how they connect and protect themselves online. And it was fascinating. What we uncovered were there were some universal beliefs about online protection. Well, there were definitely some nuances by different countries, but it did point out a few tensions between parents and the children when it comes to staying safe online. It was pretty remarkable, even for me as a professional as well as a father myself, to read through this study and what we discovered.
So without further ado, let's hear about some of these key findings from this 10-country survey. And we can also dive in after that, any surprises, as you've hinted at, some tensions between what the kids answer and what the parents who were surveyed say.
That's great, Mark. You'll love it. So here are the few things that we found. Those were very clearly universal beliefs about online protection. And they were largely the 4 key topics that emerged through our very deep research on 10 countries. One was about mobile maturity. And second was parents as safekeepers. Third, the secret life of teens online. And the fourth is gendered biases. And I'll unpack all of these for you as we go along.
Please.
So the first one, from mobile maturity, what we explored is at what age kids begin to develop their digital existence online. And what we found that the adult grade internet usage starts really early, as do the risks that follow associated with that.
Sure.
And by 15 or 16-year-old, teens truly hit their online stride, and their mobile usage jumps significantly. And it almost so that it is almost at the same level at adulthood, and it carries through.
Wow.
It was pretty fascinating to see that from mobile maturity globally. The second, and this is very near and dear to me personally as well, is what we explored as the role of parents, and are they effectively protecting their children online? And what we found that families universally accept parents into the role of keeping children safe online, just like in real life. But often what we found is parents struggle to deliver on this promise and confidence that children are expecting them to deliver.
Well, the irony, I would say, Sachin, is that as parents, our role is to protect our kids, yet the kids understand this digital world, this online space better than the parents do. So that's the disconnect.
It is, and we did uncover that tension as well. But what did emerge as a universal truth that parents are struggling? Like, I'll give you one data point. About 56% of parents said that they protect their smartphones with a password and passcode. 56.
That's it?
That's a low number by itself.
That means almost half of people don't have a passcode to access their phone.
In 2022.
Wow. So you leave that behind on the table of a coffee shop or in the back of an Uber, and
Absolutely.
Everybody has access to everything.
Yes, exactly. But when it comes to kids' smartphone, only 42% of parents have a password on kids' smartphone. That's a 14% drop. Wow. Just between parents and children itself. Remarkable. I think it was pretty evident as that jumps out in this study as a universal truth. Obviously, it varies by different countries, but this was just universally true, just across the board.
We're going to learn more about this Global Connected Families study by McAfee with Sachin Puri, VP of Marketing at the company, when we return, including some surprising findings that you may or may not want to hear about. So stick with us. You're listening to Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. We'll be right back. Hang tight.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. We are chatting about the findings of a first ever Global Connected Family study with Sachin Puri. He is VP of Marketing at McAfee. Let's now hear about the 2 other main or key findings that you discovered from this 10-country survey.
Thank you, Mark. Let's talk about the other 2. The third one that really emerged is the secret lives of teens and tweens online, is what we call it.
Finsta accounts.
So to find what we wanted to do is like, how exactly are teens spending time online? And what we found is that there are 3 key things that they are doing online. First, watching short videos. Second, streaming music. And third, browsing the web. And there also what we found is children and teens, they want privacy too when they're connected online. They often clear the browser history to omit that details so that others don't know what they're doing online. And more than half of the children, about 59%, act to hide their online activity. And our last finding, which was universally true, was that we looked at the gendered bias, protection biases to see if girls experience more danger online. And what we found is parents appear to see boys and girls differently when it comes to protecting them online. There was an apparent gender bias that we found that girls are more protected than boys. Yet actually what study highlighted is the boys who encountered more issues online. We had to kids protected online, period. And that's something I wanted to highlight as the 4 key findings that we have found.
That's interesting about the perception that's between boys and girls. I was kidding earlier about Insta accounts, but my kids have told me years ago when they were tweens that there's one Instagram account that the parents know about. It's their Finsta or fake Instagram account. And then there's the real one that they use to chat with their friends with and share videos and photos and so on.
Absolutely. I'll give you another data point. About 23% of the parents check email history on PCs for girls aged 10 to 14. That number, 23%, drops to 16% for the same age boys. So there is a clear demarcation between in terms of where those gender biases are coming
Very interesting. And when you parse this data between the different countries, were there many similarities or stark differences?
Well, there were some universal truth that we talked about. The regional differences were also very, very interesting to us as well. So, for example, in the United States, what we found is that the cyberbullying is at the highest rate compared to anywhere in the world, at 28% reported by kids.
Wow, 1 in 4.
And so is the high exposure of online risk. What was interesting is what we saw the lowest rate of cyberbullying in Japan. UK showed a less engagement about online safety, and some of the least protected children, with only 44% of children being worried about their screen time. And which is 13% below the global average.
Interesting.
And I did mention this earlier, is like Canada lagged in parental action and confidence in parents to protect kids online at 6% lower than the global average. So there were some very, very finer nuances that we set out to find, and it was fascinating to find some of those as well. I'll share some more. Children in Mexico report the highest rate of gaming online, 61%. And Brazil just totally topped the chart when it came to mobile usage among children and teens at 96%.
Wow.
So it was pretty fascinating to look at these stats. The report is right there on McAfee.com. I would highly recommend parents and others interested to stay current with cybersecurity to spend time on that. And we have tips and techniques in that as well.
All right. So it's McAfee.com, McAfee.com. But I do want to end off on software. I mean, you work for McAfee and you haven't even yet, plugged cybersecurity software, but I will, the importance of it. Let's end off on some good cyber hygiene, as it's called, including good software.
Absolutely. We stay busy. We work towards it, so that our consumers and connected families can stay safe online. And what it really comes down to at its core is McAfee Total Protection, which is our award-winning antivirus to defend against viruses, online threats, and ransomware, with both cloud-based online and offline protection. In addition, beyond your Windows PCs, McAfee Total Protection provides cross-device protection that extends your peace of mind to your Mac devices, iOS, and Android mobile devices as well. So you can enjoy security at home and on the go at all compatible devices. And we invest pretty heavily into blogs and content that makes it easy for consumers to learn more if they are interested in. But with McAfee Total Protection, we also offer personalized protection score, which provide a very easy, simple, intuitive, personalized score that guides you how to stay protected online. Higher the score, the more protected you are, and also gives very smart alerts to keep yourself and your families protected.
Great. Again, McAfee.com. You can also check out pricing there. There's often sales throughout the year, and it's usually a subscription fee for a year or two. And you can access the blogs and other content at McAfee.com as well. Sachin Puri, it's been great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you have a great rest of your spring. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Hey, if you're on social media, drop by and say hi. Let me know what you think of Tech It Out. If you have any tech questions for me, Any suggestions for upcoming guests or topics, I'm all ears. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'll spell my name in a moment, but again, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. It's Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, Saltzman. You can either DM me, direct message me, or you can write publicly on my feed. I'm usually pretty responsive, so I look forward to hearing from you. I also write a tech tip of the day, just a little way to get more out of your tech in plain English. It could be a little iPhone tip or trick, or something to do with your computer, or ways to save money, or the latest apps that you may not have heard about. And I get a lot of nice feedback on that. So feel free to follow me on social media as well. And if you're not listening to this show as a podcast, as it first airs on regular radio stations, you can always hear it all over again at your favorite podcast platform. Just type in Tech It Out, maybe my name, Mark Saltzman, and you can also give it a rating. You can share it with a friend, listen to previous episodes, and so on and so forth. Hey, when we return on Tech It Out, as promised, we're going to hear what's new in TVs. A lot has changed over the last couple of years. TVs are getting huge. They're getting thinner. They're getting higher resolution. They're getting faster, which is great for gaming and streaming video. And they're getting smarter with lots of apps and voice control, built-in artificial intelligence, and more. So we're going to hear what's new from LG. We'll probably have a deep dive on OLED televisions, their flagship models, but we'll also chat about some other options as well. Not to get too off topic, but LG has projectors as well. I wrote an article last week for AARP on the pros and cons of going with a projector over a television, but we will focus mostly on TVs when we return with LG. You are listening to Tech It Out. We'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. Hope you're having a great day so far. This show is powered by ASUS, the company that creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life. And that includes its line of award-winning laptops. There's the ZenBooks that are super innovative, VivoBooks, great all-around day-to-day PCs, StudioBooks for content creators, Chromebooks for students and other folks with a tighter budget, and ExpertBooks, which is more of a business-grade laptop. Tech it out at asus.com/US/radio. Again, that's asus.com/US/radio. If the messages that I get from listeners is any indication, so many are interested in upgrading their TV in 2022. But with so many options available in TV technology, brand, size, and of course price, deciding on one model over another can be an overwhelming endeavor. And so I've invited back onto the show Gilles Pereira, Senior Go-To Market Manager at LG. Good to chat with you again, Gilles. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me back, Mark. Great chatting with you as always.
Awesome. So now, before we talk about what's new from LG, let's chat a little bit more high level to start off. TVs are getting bigger, thinner, sharper, and probably smarter as well. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say that you hit it right on the head there. I would say over the last 4, now even maybe 5 years, the fastest growing size segment is 70 inches and above, which we classify as large screen. So There's definitely a bigger appetite for large screens, and they're becoming significantly smarter, so to speak. So our smart TVs are getting smarter.
Yeah, and faster. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, faster. Yeah, so like the Wi-Fi capabilities are going to be faster transfer speeds, all of that to really perfectly complement the more sophisticated smart TVs. So great news, actually.
And I love LG's WebOS platform for your smart TV platform, which is really great, with a healthy app store to customize the experience. And I said TVs are also getting sharper. We went from like HD to 4K to now 8K in some instances, kind of even like ahead of where the content is, but it's great because you're kind of like future-proofing your investment. And thinner, which is what we're going to talk about in a couple of moments with OLED TVs. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and I know it can be overwhelming, which is what I touched on at the top, Gilles. People want to upgrade their TV in many cases, or they have a summer home, like a cottage, a cabin. They want to maybe put a TV there this year, with prices that are dropping with many of the models. So with that in mind, what new TVs will LG have coming out in 2022?
Definitely excited about 2022. I'm going to start with a quick remember when. So 2021, LG OLED, the C-Series specifically, was actually the best-selling premium TV. So it was a fantastic year for OLED, specifically LG OLED's C-Series, fully loaded, with, everything that every customer is looking for, whether you're a gamer or a movie buff or just a regular TV watcher and everything in between. So that was a really exciting product for us this year, which we have expanded on. So for this year, we looked at use cases by and large. So last year, our biggest size was a 83-inch. So we've now added an additional 83-inch model on our G series, which is our most premium OLED line. And above that, we have a 97-inch now. So you're talking about almost 100 inches of self-lit pixel OLED greatness, right? Really hard to believe. If you look just a few years ago, our biggest size was 77 inches. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, we talked at the Consumer Electronics Show, Gilles, when the 97-inch OLED was unveiled, and I just happened to see a video about it on YouTube. Like, there's a new spot from LG that I think it's a bunch of guys watching sports and stuff. It's great, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely just hard to believe how big it is and how beautiful the picture looks even at that size. And obviously, a big part of that's the processors that we put into the TVs. And as you mentioned earlier in the segment about sharpness, a big part of the ability to keep that image super sharp even on a big picture is the processor. So our alpha processor, specifically the Alpha 9 Gen 5 now, it's doing a great job of making those TVs look fantastic for sure.
Awesome.
Last year, the smallest OLED we had was 48 inches, and that really started that kind of blurred line between TV and gaming monitor because of how great these TVs are for gaming. So we actually introduced a 42-inch OLED now. So the 42-inch C-Series OLED is available, and as you saw last year, was one of the best, if not the best, gaming TV in the market. So we're super excited about that in terms of the size, the use case, and everything else that we have loaded into that C-Series. Very exciting for us for sure.
Oh, and it's funny, Gilles, you just talked about gaming. When I talked speed earlier, I meant, Wi-Fi, so you can stream your favorite TV shows and movies with your favorite subscription services. But man, yeah, you definitely need speed for gaming because you want it to keep up to, with what that console is capable of, right? Exactly. That Xbox or that PlayStation. But you definitely want that horsepower, or else you get this like ghosting or stuttering effect. I was thinking earlier about streaming video, but not playing games, but equally as important. And if you can't afford OLED, we will talk in a couple moments from now about some other attractive TVs that LG has. Just sticking with OLED, again, why don't we remind our listeners what OLED TVs are all about, and then maybe some of the premium features that are in the 2022 models. But why don't we take a step back for a moment and talk about these organic light emitting diode based televisions, and LG really has pioneered this space.
Yeah, so our first OLED TV launched almost a decade ago. Hard to believe how fast time flies. And basically it's a self-lit pixel. So as we're talking about, you mentioned earlier, like full HD, 4K, and now even 8K. So that's really how many pixels are on the screen. So an OLED can independently light every single one of those pixels. So basically in terms of contrast ratio, black levels, like sharpness, all of those key picture metrics, OLED is really unparalleled in its ability to recreate that image on screen. So powerful representation of what the image should look like. And as the years have passed, we've added features to complement that kind of baked in technology. So back in 2019, we're adding 8 next-gen HDMI ports, and that was, to be complemented with next-gen gaming consoles. So, your Xboxes of the world, your PlayStations of the world, or your PC consoles. So it's a fantastic TV and gaming display as well. So kind of like everything in one.
Right. And these OLEDs are so thin because every pixel or dot that makes up the image is self-illuminating, as you said. So you don't need that layer of backlighting behind it.
Exactly.
All right. We're going to continue chatting about TVs with LG's Gilles Pereira when we return. Stay with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Gilles Pereira at LG. We're talking TVs today and what's new in 2022. We've just covered OLED, sort of the premium line of televisions. The G series is sort of the best of the best, and then there's the C series as well. Let's now chat about some of those premium features that OLED has.
Yeah, so last year we introduced something called Evo technology. It was only available on our premium G series, which we've now expanded into our C series. So essentially, this is a new material that's going to utilize a couple of different things. So first of all, some sophisticated, maybe too technical, but picture algorithms that work in conjunction with the processor, so the Alpha 9 Gen 5 processor, and a brightness boosting technology. So the result is that you're going to basically be getting the brightest OLED panel we've had to date, which will do really well to complement some of your high-end gaming feeds or your movie streaming, especially on HDR content, which is widely available on all of your major streaming services for sure. Specifically Dolby Vision as an example, which is perceived to be one of the best, if not the best, HDR format.
Yep, high dynamic range.
Yep.
It just adds better contrast and brightness and color for sure.
So we're very excited about that. Our always ready mode. So this is kind of like a nice complement to the thinness, as you mentioned earlier, of the OLED panel. So it kind of allows you to use the TV as a art gallery piece, and you could speak to it even when the TV's off. So almost like a smart speaker. You could use the app to stream your favorite photos or music, and it's all kind of very nicely integrated with our ThinQ operating system. So that kind of crosstalks across categories, if you will. So if you have, let's say, LG Laundry, that'll actually be able to communicate with your TV, let you know when the load's done, etc. So that's a really, really cool kind of like holistic product-to-product technology that we have.
Yeah, cool smart home ecosystem. What about those, though, Gilles, who are in the market for a great TV but maybe can't afford OLED? And by the way, for all these prices, for all these models and all that Gilles talking about, just head over to the website, lg.ca, and you'll see them all there, including what retailers have them all. There's often sales and things like that to look for. So let's talk TVs that are not OLED based.
That's a great point, Mark. Obviously, we want to make sure that there's a TV for everybody out there, and that's why LG does such a good job accommodating both in terms of use case, so like the size of the TV, the features built in, but also price availability. So we've introduced a technology called QNED. So it really is a combination of two technologies. So you have a color technology and a backlight technology evolution. So I'll go over each separately if you don't mind.
Yeah,
so first and foremost,
I think I can guess. Yeah, Q. I think I know what that stands for.
Exactly. Good trivia question. So the Q is quantum dot. So that we've actually engineered to work perfectly with NanoCell. So NanoCell is LG proprietary. Quantum dot is kind of like an open source available to anyone in the industry. Married those together and you have a fantastic improvement in color reproduction. So color accuracy, richness, saturation, etc. So that's a great storyline. And then complemented with that, we've improved the backlit system. So I'm sure your listeners are familiar with edge-lit TVs, even backlit full array TVs, and they do leave a little bit to be desired in terms of contrast. You might see some clear blooming or light bleeding, as we've called it in the industry. And really, the mini LED backlight system corrects that by and large, like significant improvements in light bleeding and haloing. So it's getting closer and closer to what OLED gives you naturally in a more affordable form factor and product, basically. So it's very exciting that you can get similar picture quality, not as good as OLED, obviously, but it's still a fantastic picture quality, great brightness, great color reproduction, and fully loaded with all the smart features that you can find even in our top-of-the-line OLED models.
Do the LG TVs, including the QNED ones, still include a Magic remote? It's kind of like a mouse, if you will, like a wireless mouse?
Yeah, so the Magic remote is available in all of our models above the UQ75 series this year. So basically all the way to the top of the line. And as you mentioned, it's basically like a mouse and a computer or a kind of like a Wii remote kind of interfacing. So very intuitive, easy to navigate your lists and your streaming apps. You have lots of lists that you go down on your recommended content. So it's very easy to navigate those, and point and click is a lot more intuitive than using the up and down arrows and on your traditional remote.
Can you use your voice as well if you want to say what you want to watch?
Yeah, so great point. We've actually added the hands-free voice control feature on our C series this year, which last year was only available on our most expensive G series model. So now in our C series, you have that kind of premium feature even on our C series. So hands-free voice, you simply say, "Hi LG," that kind of prompts the TV awake, and you can give it a number of commands that you would otherwise need your remote.
So we've chatted about QNED and OLED TVs. Always great to chat with you, Gilles. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me again, Mark.
You can head over to lg.com to learn more. As we wrap up, I also want to thank Western Digital, the parent company to SanDisk and WD, for those awesome internal and external drives, those storage solutions to protect all of your data. I use them exclusively. Those irreplaceable photos and home movies and important documents, I only trust WD and SanDisk. Head over to westerndigital.com for more. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the program. We'll catch up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.